What's going on, guys? So we're back yet again, and we're going to be discussing another movie, the brand new movie War Machine on Netflix, starring Alan Richardson. So overall, I'm going to say this right now. There was a mix of, I would say, different ideas for this film. So I would say if you mix Battleship with Terminator and honestly Halo, then that's pretty much what you get this movie. So you get this. Alan Richardson's character, he is a army soldier, and it goes into the beginning of how when he was deployed, he had to go help another convoy. The convoy got hit. The one that got hit was his brother, and he tried carrying his brother. He didn't make it. His brother passed away, and they made a promise to each other to go ahead and get into the Rangers. And of course, Alan Richardson said, well, I'm too old for that and all this, that, and the other. But after his brother's passing, he wanted to keep that promise. So he goes in there and he goes through 8 weeks of training, which is just, insane training. And Dennis Quaid is one of the main sergeants. You got one of the other sergeants. I can't think of the guy's name, but he's played in a bunch of different things as well. He's playing from Dust Till Dawn. He played in George Lopez playing as like the imaginary younger version of his father. So I know who the dude was. Good actor. But overall for the story, you have where Alan Richardson's character is one of the last inductees to go into to become a ranger, and so they go on this one last mission. He almost gets canned because of his mental aspect, because he was in a water training exercise and he passed out because, of course, being under the water too long with weights. And then they try to tell him, okay, well, you're not socialized with nobody, you keep declining to become a team leader. And he just is like, all right, whatever, I'm not doing it. And basically, if I'm going to get kicked out, I'm going to do it by not doing something, whatever. So they go on their last training exercise, and when they finally go on their last training exercise, something that was in an asteroid comes down to Earth and crashes into the surface, and they don't know exactly what it is. They think it's part of the training deal, and then as soon as this happens, they try to destroy it, thinking it's part of the the training exercise, and this thing comes alive and it just starts wrecking the entirety of the that team. And what happens is it gets up and it's able to scan the area in a blue light, and then it goes into red when it's about ready to attack, and it's able to follow tracks as well as everything else. And it can deploy mines, it can deploy missiles. It's incredibly durable, and the armor plating is almost impenetrable. So they go through everything to try to get to the next, to where they originally were going to try to be completing their mission, because they're like, okay, this is no longer a training exercise. We have to be able to get help, because again, they have no weapons. They're firing blanks. They have medical supplies. They have everything else that they need, but again, they don't have no real actual weapons. But when they finally get to the actual weapons, there's really no weapons. They find an armored Humvee and they go in that and they try to take it out, but nothing works. And throughout the entirety of the movie, we see where Alan Richardson does everything he can to try to get the upper hand. He figures it out that this thing has a vent on it, that if you put so much stuff in it, it's going to overload and it's going to explode, because that's originally how he's able to beat the thing, because using random equipment and explosives and whatever to be able to take this machine out. And when he finally gets back to base and he's only able to carry one guy that surprisingly he meets as in his team, that knew who his brother was and heard about his death, and he was extremely sorry for what happened to him, and that gives him some kind of closure, and he does bring him back, and he makes it across that line. And Dennis Quaid's character, and among everybody else, gives him so much credit because of what he went through, because it wasn't just one of these things. These things literally came to Earth. Like, it was all over the globe, and almost every military fraction of the globe was trying to handle it, didn't know how to fight it, and they lost so many soldiers and people to this thing. And they asked him, they're like, okay, how the hell did you beat this thing, one man? And he gives them information, and he gives a speech at the very end, and he goes back on deployment, and they're trying to figure out exactly who he is, other than just his calling number for his training, which was 81. And overall, I mean, that's how the movie ends, was of course him, almost falling asleep or just closing his eyes while he's in the chopper, while they're about ready to go on to the next deployment, because he literally just came off of another deployment of handling whatever these things are. So I think, in all honesty, this movie it reminded me a lot of Battleship, and it wouldn't surprise me if there is going to be another movie of this where they try to do something along the facts of maybe making it like a movie series or something. Could it happen? Yeah. Could it not? Yeah, because again, something like that happened with Battleship, and it didn't work out. And I know a lot of people enjoyed that movie. I know I did. There was some issues with that movie, but that's for another day. But overall, I think this movie was this normal, sci-fi, thriller, action, survival movie type deal. And I think Alan Richardson did pretty good. His character was, a character that went through a lot of hell, PTSD, physical trauma, mental trauma, and just wanted to prove that what he was doing was not in vain, and what him and his brother was doing in the military was not in vain. And I think that was very well shown. And at the same time, I think that them mixing a little bit of this was a good idea. I think also whatever this thing was, wherever it came from, is a good, way to explore it in future films if they do that. But the only way to know is we're gonna have to wait and see how well the movie does, and if they get signed on for like another movie or so. I could see maybe 2-3 movies for the whole franchise if they do continue this, but we'll just have to wait and see. But overall, guys, what'd you think of this film? I liked it. I thought it was all right. Was it the best thing in the world? No. Would I watch it again? If it's on TV or something, yeah, if that was the case. But I wouldn't be eager to watch it again. I mean, to me, this is kind of a one and done film, because once you've seen it, you've seen it. But it's not one of those memorable films like I would say like Battleship, or because I know some people that love that movie, or like Predator or Terminator or something like that. But again, that's just my overall opinion. So let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you as always on the next one.